Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye. The Bureau of Magical Things, Season 1, Episode 1, Magical Mishap. I might also talk about Episode 2, Magic in the Air, but I'm not sure yet. So this is a show I've never even mentioned before, but I have seen before. I watched this back when it came out many years ago. It came out recently, about 2 or 3 years ago. And so, gee, I wonder exactly what year did it come out in. It came out in, 2018. And I remember it because I downloaded the Nickelodeon app and I was looking through stuff to watch on there. And then I found something called the Bureau of Magical Things. And I'm like, oh, cool, another magic show. So I'm in, you know what I'm saying? And so I watched the premiere episode and it was pretty cool. Like it was nice, it was charming, it was a cute little show. Um, I do feel it does need more magical stuff. Like the show is way too modern, but the way it looks. It's an Australian show. This is actually the first or second Australian show I've watched. I think it was the first, I think. And so the thing about this show, if I had to criticize one little problem, there's only one little problem. It's just too modern. Everything's set in the real world. The magical people dressed in regular clothes. The fairy people, you never really see their wings because the CGI costs too much money. When they do magical stuff, it's been a good while since I saw this. I'm actually gonna rewatch it now on Netflix because the first season's on Netflix. Um, this is also on Paramount Plus. Like this used to come out on actual Nickelodeon app and then the actual Nickelodeon network. Then it went to Teen Nick, and then now it's on Paramount Plus. I'm not sure if the second season is out. I don't have Paramount Plus anymore, and so I didn't even know it was on there until I just recently just looked. And so, for the longest time, I was waiting for this thing to get renewed for a second season. Because, like I said, it came out in 2018. So I was just waiting and waiting and waiting. And then they finally announced they're going to get a second season. Like, thank God. But then, do you know what happened? And it delayed production. And they were finally able to, produce the second season. Now, the second season has already came out in Australia. But here in America, I'm not sure to tell you the truth. But yeah, this is just a nice, fun, magical show. It's not based off a book. Um, it's not based off of any other TV show. It doesn't look like no other TV show or based off no book. There's no J.K. Rowling stealing from other authors and stuff to make her stuff. So it's just very unique. But my only problem, like I said before, is just very modern. Everything is set in the real world, and even when they go to that magical bookshop place, it still looks very modern. That's because this show doesn't even deal in witchcraft. The magical stuff it deals with is fairy magic and elf magic. So I just wish they had some otherworldly location or clothing or something like that. But I guess that's fine. It makes it different and unique. You know what I'm saying? Now the location, like I said, is Australia. And it looks like Sydney, Australia. I'm not really sure. Um, but it's my God, it's beautiful. When you look at this scenery, I've never really seen Australia before because I haven't seen too much stuff in Australia. And it just looks like a giant Christmas tree or Christmas time. It's so beautiful and nice. So this show revolves around a girl named Kara. She is about to take a night jog, which, by the way, jogging at night is not safe. And in fact, her dad, who's a cop, he even mentions that, so at least they're aware. But yeah, for some bizarre reason, she likes to jog at night. And when she's jogging at night, she sees a very strange glowing object, so she walks towards it. It's a glowing book in mid-air, and the book is going back and forth, almost just like it's being tugged on or something. So curious that she goes and she touches it with her finger. And when she does that, it like knocks her to the ground, a big jolt. She wakes up in her room. She has no idea like how she got there. And then there's a stranger in her room, a very lovely, gorgeous woman. And she has like a long like dress on and like really long hair. And Kara is just kind of like freaked out a little bit, kind of like, "Who are you? And what you doing in my room?" and all this other stuff. And she's all like, "Don't be alarmed, but wait, why can't you see me?" And she's all like, "You can see me, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, I can see you." She's like, "Oh, this isn't good. You're not supposed to see me." And so she's all like, "Everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be all right." And so like. But then the woman's kind of like freaked out a little bit, and because she's really shocked that like Kara can see her, and then something happens that freaks out the woman. That oh, what was it? Something happened, something that freaked her out. I forgot what. Um, and then so the woman all of a sudden you see wings pop out from her back. Um, Fairy wings, and they're very beautiful fairy wings and very good CGI. This is one of the first times I've ever seen fairy wings look real and didn't look like a toy type thing you strap on your back. And then she shrinks really small and she flies away, and like this fairy dust trail that's behind her and stuff. And so Kara is just kind of like, what in the world? So then many hours later, they show the events that happened that led up to that event. So she's at school on the basketball team, and so next thing you know, she's talking to her two friends. One of her friends named Peter, the other one I can't remember. They're both like human and stuff, and so they're talking about something. The dude's talking about like parallel dimensions. I think she was explaining what happened to her last night, but nobody believes her. Then she passes a boy who gives her the look. And so, like, later on, we see this man. We don't know who he is, but his name is Professor Maxwell. And he works at like a bookstore. And her friend Peter buys comics from over there. Well, Professor Maxwell, after he closes up the bookshop, we see him open up a door and there's a wall behind it, and he walks straight through the wall, and it's like a magical glove. And now he's in another part of like the bookstore, but it looks slightly different. There's tons of books everywhere, but the roof has like a skylight, and it's very wide and very magical looking. And so we see certain people back there. We see this one woman who is a fairy in training. Her name is Rusky, I think her name is. And then we see an elf with elf little ears named Imogen, and she's just walking around looking for a book. And then we later on we see Lily and stuff. We also see another character named Kara. He is the brother of Imogen, and ironically, he is the real life brother of the actress who plays Imogen. Apparently, they auditioned for two completely different roles, and then they ended up like somehow getting cast as brother and sister. And so, like, the professor tells them they have a test. So then we see Lily, the fairy, whip out her wand. Her wand is a traditional, like, wooden type, a little bit gold here and there, and a jewel at the very end. And we see her in the library at one of the books, and she's doing something. We don't know exactly what she's doing. But then we see Imogen, like, trying to steal, like, a book. And she doesn't want the professor to see. Well, Lily sees her, and she tries to stop her. So the chase is on, and Lily turns like really small, and she's flying behind Imogen. Imogen is like teleporting, trying to get like away from her. And then they both use their magic to like grab onto the book. And that's the little tug of war thing that we saw with the book in midair in the beginning of the episode. And that's what Kyra saw. And so, like, the thing about elf magic is that they use their two fingers and they stick them together, and that blue glowing light happens. And so, of course, what's the name touched it. Now, this is a different scene. Now they're showing a little bit more in the future. Her dad wakes up. Her dad, this is her stepdad. Her stepdad is white. She is, I believe, Japanese, I believe. And, he tells her, you shouldn't be like jogging at night and like stuff like that. And he got a job being a dog walker. So as she's walking the dog, all of a sudden, this one dog is talking to her. She can hear the thoughts of the dog, and she doesn't understand how that's possible. And her friend Peter thinks she's like going crazy because she's bent down on the ground next to a dog's face and everything. And so like, what is it? So we get a scene with Lily and we get a scene with Imogen, and they're arguing about what happened the night before. And not Imogen, but Lily is worried about Kara, but of course Imogen, she doesn't care. Imogen is very rude, very mean. She doesn't like humans and stuff like that. And even though the professor is half human, half elf, he's a I forgot what they call him. Something lean, I forgot. Anyway, so she convinces Imogen to like check up on like Kyron and stuff like that. So when they go to her, they ask, anything like, weird's been going on, anything like that. And so before they showed up, Kyra, she able to make her clothes levitate when she put her two fingers together and said something about cleaning up. And so now she realized something magical going on with her. So Lily tries to erase her memories with her wand, but somehow it does not work on her. So Imogen's all like, well, we have no choice but to banish you. She just wants to get rid of her, period. And so she asked them straight up, like, how is this possible? And see, Lily thinks that when she touched the Book of Magic, it somehow absorbed magic into her. Now, before all this, they told the professor what happened. And he doesn't understand how this is possible because, like, the book just has simple text in it and it shouldn't have put no magic in no human and stuff. So, as Lily and Imogen are trying to figure out what to do and stuff like that, Kara gets scared and she just teleports away. And when she teleports away by mistake, she ends up in like a snowy mountain area and she's freezing to death. And that's like the end of the episode. So, all in all, like I said before, it is a really interesting show. It does pick up, like the first episode is a little slow, but it does pick up after this. And so, like, more stuff happens, a little edgier stuff happens. Of course, there's like a bad person in this series. And so a lot of magical stuff just like, happens. I remember watching this thing thinking it's a good show. It could be greater, you know what I'm saying? Like get away from all the modern stuff, get a little bit more like the worldly type stuff, have more like stakes that are bigger and stuff like that, I am curious to know what happened in the second season. I actually forgot a lot that happened in the first. I know that there's a villain. I know a lot of magical stuff happens. I know another person finds out about them, but that's about it. That's all I remember. So I can't wait to like rewatch it on like Netflix and stuff. Now in the second episode, Magic in the Air, after Imogen finds Kyra, she's not exactly too happy about that. Like the thing about Imogen is that she really just is grumpy like all the time, and she really does not like humans whatsoever. And so, like I said before, they took her to see Professor Maxwell, and he doesn't understand what's going on with her, and like so he can't figure out how to like cure her and everything. So the best solution is to just teach her how to control her magical abilities, but she doesn't really want to. She wants to just be normal. So she bolts on out of there. And so when she does, she finds Peter and she begins to tell Peter like everything that she just experienced. And so Lily shows up in her invisible form and tries to kind of like make her try to stop, but she just keeps on spilling the beans and everything. And it's just kind of like you're like, this just don't make no sense. It's kind of like, okay, if all of a sudden you got magical powers and you found out there's a magical world and you found out there are people more powerful than you, then wouldn't you keep your mouth kind of shut in case these people do something to you? Because one already talked about banishing you and stuff. Not to mention people in the real world gonna think you're crazy and stuff. So like she tells him about the secret like passage in the wall and everything. So when he goes down his next delivery, all of a sudden he's back there in the wall and he's trying to go through it, but he can't. And then Professor Maxwell sees him and just wants to know like what exactly is he doing and stuff. And so he's embarrassed now, thinking Kyra did it to make fun of him and stuff. So when they bring her back to like the library and stuff, she realizes that the dude that she keeps seeing at that one place, the smoothie place, he is um Dara, I think I said his name was, and that's Imogen's like brother and stuff. And it's so funny with his elf ears, he looks just like the Disney version, the animated version of Peter Pan. He's pretty much like he kind of has like a thing for her, and she kind of has a thing for him. They always give each other like the look, and so he tries to be cool and debonair around her, but he always tries to act like he knows what he's talking about, but he really doesn't. And so like him and his sister bicker all the time because she's so grumpy. And so it turns out that there's a flying chair going around the human world. And apparently this happens a lot when magical items just start appearing in the real world. And it's a department called the DMI that has to go and capture these magical items. Kind of think of it as Fantastic Beasts. And that movie where like the animals get out, the first one, and Newt has to go like find all the magical animals and stuff. It's kind of like that a little bit. And I'm pretty sure this came out before that Fantastic Beats movie or whatever. And so the gang, they all try to like stop the tree except for Kyra. She's like back at the library, right? And so they're trying their best to like wrangle the tree, but they can't. So Dara, he tries to like rope it and stuff with his magical finger, but it's just dragging him along. So they need something to put it in. So Imogen goes back to the library and goes get like a teapot for some reason. And what's her name? Kara wants to help her, but Imogen doesn't want her to. So when she teleports out of there, Kara like jumps into like Imogen's like teleportation thing. I think they call it like a rift, like rifting or something like that, which pisses off like Imogen. So then Kyra grabs like the teapot and then she throws it at the chair. And then somehow it gets sucked into like the teapot and then she catches it and put the lid on. It's a little wonky, it's a little rushed. I wish they would have took like more. I wish they would have done more magical stuff to get the chair in. I mean, for the most part, like I said, like it's a pretty neat show, and they just need to do more magical type stuff. I mean, if the worst witch can, so can they. But I guess they're trying to like be different from them, and maybe they don't have the budget yet. So like I said before, it does start to pick up after this episode, and I haven't seen the second season yet, but I'm hoping they have like a bigger budget so they can do like more magical looking stuff. 'Cause it is called the Bureau of Magical Things after all and stuff. So she decides she's gonna stay with the group and learn how to control her magic since there's no way to like get rid of her magic and stuff. So like I said before, all in all, it is a neat show and you should check it out. Like it's very different, but it's very modern. Like, and there isn't much like magically stuff going on. I guess they don't have the budget, but it's still nice and it's a nice, pleasant show to watch. You know what I'm saying, and stuff. And I think you would like will enjoy yourself by watching it, but it's just like it just takes a while for it to pick up, but it does pick up after a while. because there are like 20 episodes, so you know eventually it's gonna pick up. Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about